Okay, so it's a couple of hours later than it was when I did the language video, maybe even longer than that. You guys ask me all the time what I do when you're not around. Well, today I sat and I graded a whole bunch of papers that your moms and dads have sent to me so that I can put grades into the computer. We still have a few things missing, and that's okay. Just get it done and send it in as quickly as you can. But don't stress. Most of the work that has come home to you is nothing that's new. And most of the work that has come home to you, you can do by yourselves. If you'll just ask Mom what pages you need to be doing, I'm sure that she'll be glad to give them to you so that you can do them. Today in your reading, you read part 1 of Captain Strikes Gold. And our main character is Zach Zebra. And Zach has a little bit of a problem. And that problem is he doesn't want to obey. And I think we all have times when we have that issue. We don't want to obey. Why does Zach Zebra go into the jungle? Well, he says that he's thirsty and the water in the river is too muddy for him to drink. So he goes off on his own, even though Captain Stripe, who is the new leader of their pack, has told them not to. He goes off into the jungle. And he also doesn't like taking orders from Captain Stripe. He believes, I think, that he should be in charge. Who does Zach meet in the jungle? Well, he meets several characters. First, he meets a huge elephant, and he'd never come face to face with an animal so large. And he meets a talking stick, and he meets, how did he describe it? Mumba was the elephant, and then he met a snake and a crocodile, and he described one of them as a talking stick. Oh, and the other one was a vine because it fell down out of the tree. Now, as you read, before you get ready to read, I want you to think about what you think will happen to Zach now that he has met those 3 characters. But before we start, we have a phonics skill. And we're going to talk about prefixes. Now, you guys already know about prefixes and suffixes. They go under a family called affixes, and that just means I either add words or sounds to the beginning or end of a word to change its meaning. Well, today we're talking about a prefix, and a prefix goes at the beginning of a word to change its meaning. When you add a prefix to a word, it changes the word in 2 ways. 1, it changes its meaning, but 2, it changes the number of changes the number of syllables in the word. So if I had the word, and I'm not good at doing this backwards, if I had the word asleep, oops, right there. If I had the word asleep, what prefix did I add to sleep to make it asleep? Well, you should say the letter A. And if I have the word already, what prefix did I add to ready to get already? And that would be prefix all, A-L. And you know Miss Millette does this box thing to identify prefixes and suffixes. Now underneath it is a list of words that have a prefix added to them. Around, almost, altogether, ashore, awoke, almighty, arose, although. Are you impressed I was able to read those without looking? I was reading through the paper because it's translucent. It's not transparent. So in around, we added a to round, and almost, we added all to most, and altogether, we added all to the word together, and ashore, we added a to shore, awoke, we added a to woke, all to mighty, a to rose, and all to though. And you hear me saying because it's making the schwa sound. It's unaccented. Your head doesn't go up until you say the second syllable. Arose, awoke. So Your head goes up on the second syllable, so the is unaccented. At the bottom of the page, we have an answer box, and I cannot read that right there. The words are almost, already, although, ashore, awoke. My first sentence says, Drew blank before sunrise. Well, what do you think Drew did before sunrise? I think he awoke. I awoke before sunrise because my daughter stayed up all night and I heard her at 5 in the morning. Blank, he was sleepy. He was excited. I need something that means an exception. He was sleepy, but he was excited, and I think that should be although. Drew and his father were going fishing at the lake. Dad was blank dressed for the day. Dad was up, Dad was dressed, so Dad was already dressed. He may have been more excited than Drew. They got to the lake just as the sun was rising. They fished blank morning. They fished ashore morning or almost all morning. And I think it's almost. Because I think the fish stop biting when it gets hot, right? Then they brought blank the fish they had caught. Did they leave them in the boat? Nope, they brought them ashore, which means to the shore. So you know that you're going to have a phonics page that deals with the prefixes A and AL. They change the meaning of the word and they add an extra syllable. All right, so you are going to read today pages 84 through 87, and your targets are: I can identify and use the features of a glossary, entry word, definition, sample sentence, syllable division, and word forms. Not new, we've done this before. And I can infer the motives and emotions of characters. I can recognize fanciful elements in a story. Now remember, this story that you're reading is a fantasy, and in a fantasy, animals often act like people. So you're going to read these 3 pages, and you're going to find out what the crocodile and the snake tell Zach. And when you finish, you should be able to answer, what do Mona and Croc say they want Zach to help them with? Do you think Mona and Croc can be trusted? And do you think Zach will really find gold in the jungle? When you are done, you're going to complete workbook pages 289 and 90. Page 289 is a comprehension page over this section of the story. And like I said, the second page will be over the use of prefixes. Take your time. Do a good job. There's a Venn diagram before I cut this off. There's a Venn diagram on page 289, and all a Venn diagram is, we've done these before in class, it's how you compare and contrast. How they're alike goes in the middle of the circle where it overlaps, and how they're different goes on the outer parts of each side of the circle. All right. Take your time reading. This is a cute story, so enjoy. And I'll talk to you again in a little while.